All right, hi, Dr. Will Wheat here, and we are coming to you today to talk to you about the word in Romans chapter 8 that tells us that there is now no condemnation. What a great revelation that Paul was having, and he was having this revelation from God. Now, he had the challenge to share this revelation with the listeners and with those that God had given him oversight over. There is now no condemnation. Now, over the years, and God has had an opportunity through many different types of teachers to bring this thought further along to where we understand that what we see in creation as far as darkness and evil, God did not create. Because of our teaching and the things that we've learned, we've also come to understand that we are the creators. We're co-creators with God. And our miscreation, God honors. He does not change that or correct us. He allows us to live through our miscreations, to learn from our miscreations, how that independent of Him, independent of acknowledging Him and His guidance, we can make some mistakes in our creations. And those mistakes can cause us pain, contradiction, and disharmony all across the board. So as He watches over us, as a father watches over his children, to make sure that nothing actually destroys us, we learn from those things that we have created. And over time, we blamed our miscreations on a creature that we created to take the blame and the brunt of the blame for our miscreations, because we really couldn't face the fact that it was our miscreation. And one of the reasons, one of the examples I used is when you have a baby and you tell this child, now I want you to climb on top of that counter and get those cookies. Those cookies are not for you now. And when you're not looking and the baby climbs on the counter, reaches into the cookie jar and takes a cookie, and you're observing them do this. So when you come in, when you catch their attention and they're aware of your presence, you ask them, did you do what I told you not to do? Did you climb on that counter and get that cookie? Their first inclination, and they never learned this, but it's inside of them, they will say, no, I'm not eating no cookie. No, I didn't get the cookie. And you can think, I never lied to the child. I never taught the child a lie. How does this child lie? Because it's called self-protection. It's fear that we created. God did not give us a spirit of fear. Fear has to do with the unknown. Fear has to do with not knowing the result from misbehaving. So we create or we imagine a result that is not really true. So fear causes us to lie to protect ourselves. Well, this has happened from the time that we separated ourselves from God, from the time that we separated from ourselves from God, when we thought, what would it be like to be separate from God? And we created these bodies. We created a tree, a system of good and evil. We created all these things that has its built-in punishment. If you don't do this, there's a built-in punishment for you. And whatever we imagined to do, we do it. Whatever we imagine to have, we have our imagination. And so we actually manufacture and cause certain calamities to come forth, either through the power of suggestion or through just the power of our imagination. So God is teaching us to renew our mind so that we would have the mind of Christ, and so our imaginations will be set in the right place. And one of the ways of doing that is to give us this word from Paul in Romans chapter 8, verse 1. There is no condemnation. From God's standpoint of view, there is no condemnation, because condemnation has to do with judgment, and judgment has to do with isolation and barriers. God is not isolating or cutting you off or setting you aside with judgment. He's not judging anything, because He sees the whole truth. He sees the whole process of learning, and through this process of learning, you come to His conclusion about who you are. So don't cut yourself off by condemning yourself, because when you condemn yourself and judge yourself, now you bring in and attract things that you're fearful of, that you don't want to have, something you heard, and some other maladies that you have in your life. Fear of lack of money, fear of lack of love, understanding. All these fears and phobias become our reality. So you have to learn there is now no condemnation. Say it with me, there is now no condemnation. And seeing that sickness and condemnation are creations of men, men have to abolish their own creations so they can declare themselves free from everything they created, and they give God the glory for leading and guiding them out of their bondage into their freedom. Well, this is Dr. Will Wheat, and I want to remind you that God has plans for your life, and none of those plans include defeat.